So welcome everyone to the Center on Disability and Community Inclusion's 50th anniversary celebration. Yes. I have been planning and preparing for this day for, it feels like many months, definitely a year. And I'm just so excited it's here, and I'm so excited to be here with you. So for everyone in the room, for those online, maybe for those of you that are watching this later, the recording, welcome. And thank you for celebrating with us. So in just a moment, I get to introduce and share the podium with some of our center's most ardent supporters. And I've had a chance to peek at their remarks, and they're going to share some truly lovely things about our center's history of equity and action. And given that, what I wanted to do is share a little bit about why the center is special to me. This is all in caps now, and then I'll share a special recognition that our center just received for our anniversary. My wife, Michelle, and I came to Vermont in 2000 to come to UVM as graduate students in the psychology department. And we came to work specifically with John and Sarah Burchard. Already seeing some nods. So I knew there was going to be some people in the room that either knew John or Sarah, or maybe both of them, or maybe know of them. Their work was, it changed my life in terms of children's mental health and developmental services. So Michelle and I immediately learned two things about the Burchards. So first, they were two of the most warm and caring and welcoming people that we'd ever met. And they really welcomed us to Vermont with open arms. My wife and I were both originally from the Washington, D.C. area. We had just spent 2 years in Arizona. That's another story. And now we were in a new place, far from family and friends, and starting a new school, graduate school. I know there's some grad students in the audience that can empathize with that. And John and Sarah both immediately started to invite us to their house, to spend time with them, to meet their families. And we spent our first Thanksgiving in Vermont at their house on Killarney Drive with their friends and family members. And it was no big deal. This was just another Thanksgiving for them. We spent our first anniversary, wedding anniversary, in their cabin in the woods. Second thing we learned about the Burchards is how engaged they were with children and families, advocates and providers around Vermont in their work. And that was a bit different for me. I'd already been in a graduate program before, and as an undergraduate, I was a big nerd and knew that I was going to graduate school, so was very focused on that, and working closely with many amazing researchers and faculty members. And my experience as a student in those contexts is that they were very focused on, the big theories and the big ideas and the best designed studies. And the Burchards were too, but they also taught me that the act of research can be advocacy. And even more importantly, it can have immediate benefits for the children and the families and the providers and the advocates they're trying to support. So yes, do the research. Yes, write the article, and that will educate folks and make a difference in the future. But also make sure that the data that you're collecting now and the stories that you're learning about now are immediately helpful to those people. And so I remember sitting at the dining table at John's house, where he would challenge me to think about this new measure that we are working on. How can it have an immediate benefit for the people that we're collecting the data for? So this is not data. This is a family's story. How can we put it to use for them immediately? So Michelle and I were hooked. So we knew within the first few weeks here that we were going to stay, if that was all possible for us. We'd found our home and our community. And over the couple of years that we were in that program, John and Sarah introduced us to more colleagues that were engaged in similar kinds of community work, community-focused work. And that's how I was first introduced to the center. So back in the 80s, they led Project Wraparound, which is still a core area of my own research and part of what I'm passionate about. And this was a Center on Disability, got the name wrong, Center on Disability and Community Inclusion, thank you, Rachel, affiliated project. And so they started to introduce me to other faculty and professionals at the center. And the mission of the project was to provide comprehensive supports for youth and families with emotional behavioral challenges that were excluded from their schools, that were excluded from their communities, and in some cases from their own families. So Project Wraparound was all about bringing them home. And the center was a place that was also focused on inclusion. And so Project Wraparound was a great fit. And their approach, and it was even the title of one of their manuscripts, was it's about one kid at a time. Every kid is different, every family is different, the needs are different. And so yes, gather the data for the broader knowledge generation and for the research studies, but you got to focus on one kid at a time. Through that connection, as a graduate student 21 years ago, I started working here, notably just before the center's 30th anniversary, which we have countless DVDs of that party, which I missed, which is partly why I was so excited to plan this one. But I quickly learned that the center was made up of people just like John and Sarah, passionate and humane professionals and advocates working for a more inclusive and equitable world, one kid and family at a time. People like Ruth Hamilton, who was leading the BEST project at the time, and Michael Gingreco were other faculty who both taught me so much about how to do good while you were doing good research, and also just welcome me into their families. My point is that all of us have stories like this for how we found and came to be part of the center. And all of us have people that help shape our lives and careers for the better. And as director for the past 7 years, I've had the honor and pleasure of working with you and hearing about your stories. And then he loses his place because he was getting emotional. The next part was really good, I promise. Oh, yeah, really lost my steam there. That honor and pleasure, seeing you, not just getting that support from your mentors, but seeing you become mentors and paying it forward for the next generations, which again, I'm so thrilled that there's some students here with us. So whether you've been with us for 20 years or more, or maybe your connection with our center is just starting, you are all part of a rich and vibrant tapestry of our center's history and impact. Thank you. Did I mention I had two things I wanted to share? I do most of this to make Rachel laugh as our assistant director. Okay, but this is good. Yesterday, Governor Phil Scott issued a proclamation recognizing our center's 50th anniversary. Pause for visual. I'm way over time. Should I read it? It's a little over a minute. The State of Vermont Executive Department, a proclamation. Whereas the center was founded as the Center for Special Education in a partnership between the University of Vermont College of Education and Social Services and the Vermont State Department of Education. And whereas the early days of the center focused on educating Vermont youth who previously had only been served at the Brandon Training School, the state institution for people with disabilities. And whereas the center provided some of the first supports to teachers working with students with disabilities through university coursework, trainings, and interdisciplinary technical assistance and inclusive approaches. And whereas over 50 years, the center launched projects promoting innovative practices in early intervention, inclusive education, healthcare, assistive technology, employment, universal design for learning, post-secondary education, accessibility, and many other areas. And whereas approximately 500,000 people, thank you, Rachel, have participated in trainings, education, and other services from center projects, and whereas the center has been instrumental in promoting disability rights, fostering inclusive practices, and advocating research and advancing research and evaluation, contributing to major advancements for Vermonters with disabilities and their families. And whereas the 50th anniversary of the center is an opportunity to celebrate our achievements, recognize the outstanding service and dedication of its staff and partners, and reaffirm our commitment to disability equity and inclusion to enrich the lives of Vermonters. Now, therefore, I, Philip B. Scott, Governor, hereby proclaim the 14th day of November 2024 as the 50th anniversary of the Center on Disability and Community Inclusion in Vermont. That was okay, right? I know. So my next task, unfortunately, is not to introduce the co-chair of our Community Advisory Council, Matthew LaFleur, who is going to speak. He did give me his remarks, and so I'm going to read them. And if at all possible, I would like to put a picture of Matthew up. Matthew lives in Alburgh, Vermont, and has very challenging internet connections, and let me know earlier today that he wasn't going to be able to join. So I was going to say a couple of remarks about Matthew. So he is an autistic adult who's very involved in autism advocacy around the state. His area of expertise includes accessibility, plain language, systems change, and policy work, and he brings a clear vision for priorities for patient-centered outcomes research. Some of those priorities include accessible employment practices and accessible healthcare and mental health for autistic children and adults. He's very active in health equity and policy around Vermont. A couple of examples, I mentioned he's the co-chair of our Community Advisory Council for the center. He's also an autistic research partner with the UVM Autism Collaborative. He's on the Patient and Family Advisory Committee for One Care Vermont. He serves on the Equity Committee for the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and a member of Vermont Public's Community Forum. I've had the pleasure to get to know Matthew on the council, and then also last year taking a trip to our National Network conference. He is very passionate, an outspoken advocate, and I'm so sorry he couldn't join us today. I am going to read his remarks, though. And then I'm going to introduce Katie, and then I promise to take a break. So this is Matthew's speech. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm the co-chair of the Center on Disability and Community Inclusion Community Advisory Council. I'm honored to speak about our mission and the incredible work we do. Our center is dedicated to creating an efficient, effective, and collaborative partnership. We focus on understanding and promoting diversity, inclusion, and acceptance for everyone. This is not a task that any one person can accomplish alone. It requires all of us working together, sharing our strengths and perspectives. We are here to train, support, and share knowledge. Our goal is to ensure that all Vermont communities are inclusive and welcoming for all. By working together, we can achieve better outcomes for everyone. Thank you for your commitment and support, and together we can build a brighter future for our community. Thank you. All right. So next, it's my pleasure to invite Katie Shepard. I'm going to say some opening remarks, and then I'll invite you up. So Catherine Shepard is the Dean of the College of Education and Social Services, which is our center's home. Please, no need to hold your applause till the end. She is a fantastic colleague, a huge supporter of our center, and my boss. So I'd like to say a few nice things about her right now. Dr. Shepard's state and federally funded scholarship focuses on family professional partnerships, school to adult life transition for youth with disabilities, leadership for inclusive schools, collaborative approaches to database decision-making, and implementation of tiered systems of support. Dr. Shepard received UVM's prestigious Kropsch Maurice Award for Excellence in Teaching in 2013, and in 2019, she was awarded the President's Distinguished University Citizenship and Service Award. She is a past president of the Higher Education Consortium on Special Education and a member and former chair of the Committee on Families within the Council for Exceptional Children, Division of Research. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Catherine Shepard.
Thank you, Jesse.
Oh, no.
Sorry. My bad. Okay. Jesse has been planning this great celebration for a year. It is so exciting to see it come to fruition tonight. So it's really my great honor to be with you as the Dean of the College of Education and Social Services, which serves as the home academic unit for the Center on Disability and Community Inclusion. I'm going to shorthand the name of the college anytime I reference it as CES because it takes a long time to say the full name. And it's just so exciting to think about celebrating CDCI's 50th anniversary and the incredible contributions that CDCI has made to our college, to the university, the state of Vermont, our country, and in fact the world, and especially children, youth, and adults with disabilities and their families, friends, teachers, and service providers. CDCI is really, truly mission critical to our college and to the university. Within CES, our mission speaks to creating a more humane and just society that maximizes human potential and quality of life for all individuals, families, and communities by preparing outstanding professionals in education, social work, counseling, and human services who will help to uplift the lives of individuals and work towards a more free and just society. And the university's mission talks about creating healthy societies and healthy communities. And more recently, we've been talking about planetary health and the relationship between the health of the planet and the health of people. CDCI is a shining example of how we carry out those two mission statements, both at the college and university level. It is focused absolutely in improving the health, education, and quality of life for, and importantly, in partnership with individuals with disabilities and their families in Vermont and around the world. CDCI's history dates back to the early 70s when the state of Vermont was leading the nation in its focus on inclusive practices for children and youth with disabilities in our public school system. We were ahead of the Education for All Handicapped Children's Act, now known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, because we were preparing general and special educators to ensure that all children could thrive in general education classrooms. At that time, the academic part was known as the special education area. As it became increasingly supported with federal grants, systems change, and personnel preparation grants, as Jesse mentioned, teachers and service providers and policymakers in the state said, you know, we want more emphasis on what's going on in Vermont. We need you to really be partnering out in the state. And so the Center for Special Education was born in 1973. Later, it would join the national organization, University Centers on Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, and change its name to the Center on Disability and Community Inclusion. From its inception and over the years, CDCI has strived to connect teaching, research, outreach, community engagement, and partnership with individuals with disabilities and their families, and those involved in the disability field. Faculty, staff, and researchers associated with CDCI have been recognized for their work through millions, really, truly millions of dollars over the years to support research in early intervention, deaf and hard of hearing services, visual services for those with visual impairments, technical assistance to schools serving children with complex needs, models for preventing and addressing behavioral challenges and promoting social and emotional health, the transition of high school age students with disabilities to adult life, collaborative teaming practices. I'm looking at I-Team members right here to support children and youth and to provide technical assistance to the schools they attended, and the development of paraprofessionals, tiered models of support and staffing that meet the needs of children in our schools. That is not an exhaustive list by any means. And if you look around this room, you'll see I haven't even touched. There's still many more projects that continue today. It's just such a rich body of research and technical assistance and support that's been provided for these 50 years. On a more personal note, I'm proud to say that I'm a graduate of the Consulting Teacher Program, which, when I was part of it in the mid-'80s, really had a very strong connection between CDCI and our special education faculty. Today, CDCI colleagues play a critical role in promoting accessibility for community members and students with disabilities at UVM and across our state. Here today, we have staff, students, and alumni and faculty associated with our world-renowned Think College program that provides inclusive educational, social, and career development opportunities for college-age students with disabilities, as well as faculty and staff associated with the Autism Collaborative. What binds all of these programs and initiatives together is their focus on identifying and carrying out inclusive and collaborative practices that truly center the dreams, voices, and needs of individuals with disabilities and their families, so that we can pave the way forward for better practices, better policies, a better quality of life. Our CDCI Advisory Board includes health advocates who help keep its mission alive and on track. CDCI embraces the tenets of inclusive excellence, openness, respect, and belonging that are so foundational to our college as well as the university. And it is, I think, I'm a little biased, but I do think CDCI is one of the university's best examples of our commitment to engage with our communities, to partner with our communities, to develop and implement evidence-based practices to improve the quality of life for all. We continue today to build upon the partnership that exists between CDCI, our college, and the university to achieve our strategic and inclusive excellence goals. And in fact, I was just saying to someone that when I started at UVM, most of our special education faculty and CDCI were on the 4th floor of Waterman. And then the CDCI folks, well, they moved downtown for a little while and then over to Mann Hall. And just this year, we moved our amazing special ed faculty to Mann Hall. So, so history repeats itself, and I could not be any more excited, and I've already heard so many great stories about collaboration between our faculty and all these amazing projects. We're connecting students to projects. We're showing our special education students how this all really works and introducing them to the amazing work of CDCI. So as we look to the next 50 years, we are excited to see how CDCI will continue to serve as a partner and a leader in addressing ever-changing needs in education and social services through academic and community engagement. As the university really leans into our very recent commitment, many thanks to our interim president, Patty Prelock, around the health of people and planet, we see CDCI as a leader in ensuring that the health and inclusion of those with disabilities is connected to, and importantly, enhances the health of our planet. Thank you for being here today. I really just want to recognize everyone in the room for all your great connections, and I want to give a round of applause to you. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. I both turned the mic off on you when you first started speaking, and now I try to hit you with some water on the way out. Tips for things not to do with your boss, I would say. All right, so now it's my pleasure to introduce our interim president, with also saying some nice things.
You don't have to say anything. Just say it's Patty.
Oh, that's really tempting, but your office gave me some lovely words to say. Would you like to hear them? Yes. Okay, thank you. Patty Brelock is the interim president of the University of Vermont and has been a proud member of the campus community for 30 years. And I'm so excited she's going to be sharing some of her history with our center as part of that career. In addition to her current leadership position, President Brelock has served UVM as provost, senior vice president, dean of the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, and as a professor of communication sciences and disorders. She is an active mentor, teacher, and researcher, and has partnered with faculty, staff, and students to lead several important university programs and projects, including the one you were just hearing about, the New Planetary Health Initiative, which is designed to bring together learning, research, and engagement to inspire action so that both people and planet can thrive. Katie briefly mentioned earlier that she was biased for the center. Again, that's the not so secret that's why they were invited. I've had several other directors ask, how did you get the president and the dean to come give opening remarks? They're biased, and it's great. They're both wonderful supporters of us, so please join me. Here's Patty. And I think it's on.
I think it's on. Thank you so much, Jesse. I'm delighted to be here, and actually it's an honor and a privilege to be here. And hopefully when I tell you my story, you'll understand why. The CDCI place is really my first home to UVM. When I arrived in the UVM and Burlington campus in 1994-95 academic year, I left a position that I loved at the University of Cincinnati, and I came to Vermont with no job. I was following my husband at the time, and my colleagues at the University of Cincinnati contacted the director of the Center for Disability, or Center on Disability and Community Inclusion at the time, and that was Wayne Fox, and a beloved faculty member, Susan Hazazi. And he'd let them know, my friends at the University of Cincinnati, that I was coming to Vermont because of a spousal transfer, and I might be able to help them with some grants, since I had some parent training grants and collaborative grants at the University of Cincinnati. That phone call and my connection with Dr. Hazazi and Dr. Fox really charted the course of my career here at UVM. So that's why CDCI will always have a special place in my heart, and CES. So I came to Vermont with the desire to offer support and expertise in collaboration, interdisciplinary practice, and work with developmental disabilities, particularly children with autism. But as I did my research on the Center on Disability and Community Inclusion, I was thinking, they're already doing so many wonderful things in the collaborative space because Jackie Thousand and Rich Villa were here. And in the complex disability space, because Michael Giangreco and Katie Shepard were here. And in the doctoral space with Susan Hazazi. So I kept on saying to myself, what could I possibly offer to this community? What have I done to myself coming to this place that I did not know anything about? So then I realized that maybe my assessment work with the autistic population and related neurodevelopmental disabilities, and my experience on transdisciplinary teams both at the University of Pittsburgh and the University of Cincinnati Center of Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, there you said, might be relevant. I also learned that I was coming to a state where full inclusion was an expectation and not an exception. And the community fully embraced differences and honored the contributions of individuals with differences. So I was sold. This is the place I need to be. And then Dr. Wayne Fox came to me and said, okay, Patty, I know you don't have a job, but we have this HRSA grant that they have a request for proposals to establish a LEND program, Leadership Education and Neurodevelopmental Disabilities. And I came from a LEND program, one of the oldest ones at the University of Cincinnati. And he said, we've never done anything like this, but it can't be bricks and mortar. That's not how Vermont works. It has to be virtual or something like that. And I said, okay. And he said, well, we have this developmental pediatrician, Dr. Steve Contempassus, who works for the health department, and he's very frustrated with care for individuals with complex disabilities. And and he really wants to do something different, but he's never written a grant. And so I need you two to meet up. And I said, okay, I'm in. So from January to April of 1995, I did my homework, met every dean on campus and chairs across the institution, knowing that I didn't know any of them, to convince them that it was a good idea to collaborate with this Midwesterner who was coming on such an important initiative which would require them to add resources to what I was asking. And so I wrote the program content for that grant. And the grant was funded in July of 1995, and it's been funded ever since. I share this story because of the power of collaboration and connection, and that's a core value that I see here at CDCI. And that would have not happened if I didn't have my colleagues at CDCI. So my first office was on the 4th floor in the College of Education and Social Services in the Waterman Building, and then we moved to Mann Hall. And although I had an appointment in pediatrics as the training director for the LEND grant, CES and CDCI will always be my very first and favorite homes. After serving as training director for 15 years and writing additional grants, including a $1 million grant to support collaborative interdisciplinary work for teams in the state to work with young children who had autism and working with their families, but with multiple disciplines, early childhood special education, related service providers, and regular classroom teachers. So I loved it, but I had to relinquish my LEND role when I became dean of the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. That was the hardest thing to give up because it's what kept me just thriving. But I realized by the time it was time for me to move on, I had trained so many incredible healthcare providers over the years that they took over. And they're the ones who've written the grants. So it was OTs and PTs and special educators and nurses and developmental pediatricians, social work, nutrition, regular pediatric psychology, and I did know the Burchards very well. Sarah was one of our first LEND trainees in psychology. Audiology, speech language pathology, that the past trainees, they became the leaders of the LEND program, which is exactly what a leader wants to do. You pay it forward. But my history with CDCI does not end there. CDCI has continued to be an amazing resource for my undergraduate and graduate students who work with me on many of my autism training and research projects. We have collaborated with the I-Team, starting from Susan Hazazi, and I saw her somewhere here in the audience, and Ruth Dennis. And we have students that we've trained who are now professionals on the I-Team. CDCI has been an incredible partner with our UVM Autism Collaborative, a network of autistic partners, their families, community clinicians, families, faculty, and student researchers. And Matthew LaFleur is one of our members and a really beloved member of our team. CDCI has really provided critical infrastructure and communication supports for our Autism Collaborative, including hosting our website, thank you, Jesse, and helping us achieve accessible communication and supporting our community outreach efforts. See, even though I'm in administration, I do not let the engagement piece and the research and education interfere with what's really important, being in academia. So then my work with Think College, which gives access to a college experience with support for those with a variety of intellectual and social differences, has also been a point of pride that I share with many. Several students and mentors for the program have taken my autism class, and my dear friend and colleague, Brian Daig, has been a wonderful partner in so many efforts to support those students. I've shared the value of Think College with my families whose students have benefited, and I continue to appreciate my relationship with Think College. And in fact, my doctoral student, Alyssa Smith, who's an occupational therapist, and I are collaborating with Think College to provide integrative health and wellness coaches for students in the program. We are investigating how we might engage in wellness coaching that best meets the needs of Think College students. Think College is clearly, as Katie said, an exemplar in higher education, and we are proud of the program's successes and the students' successes at UVM. So thank you, Brian, for your leadership. And then there's the institutional importance of the University of Vermont hosting Vermont's only University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities Education, Research, and Service, or UCED. It cannot be overstated. It's a gem that I often have to remind people, we have a UCED here that is really quite powerful and makes a difference for our community. The center is a crucial interdisciplinary resource for the needs of people with developmental and other disabilities in Vermont. Its work and mission enhances community engagement, which is part of our land grant mission, really leaning into that mission by providing community services statewide and around the globe, showing people how to do it the Vermont way, which is pretty powerful. Certainly, with its years of externally funded innovative service and scholarship, CDCI helped our university journey to R1, which we will be named as an R1 institution probably December or January. So thank you for the contributions of the faculty and staff in CDCI. The research collaborations that CDCI has supported allowed me to make connections across campus that may not have been otherwise possible. And projects like Universal Design for Learning at UVM continue to pay dividends through the faculty and staff they've reached and those they have reached in turn. In fact, our own Vice Provost for Academic and Student Success, Jay Dickinson, has done some really important work in the Ukraine. And she has shared that once she has taught about Universal Design for Learning, a teacher in the Ukraine said that she credits the work that she learned through the Universal Design for Learning that was really supported here at CDCI and the university with helping her teach during wartime. In addition, I use Universal Design for Learning, not just in my autism class, but in many of my presentations, a credit to the training I received through CDCI. Most recently, CDCI has been a critical partner in the work to provide and coordinate accessibility services on campus that has furthered our goals for inclusive excellence, as Katie said, and we will be now developing an office of accessibility services that is truly going to have student accessibility services, faculty, and staff, and that will be new. So we're very excited about that. Importantly, though, CDCI represents all that is right about what we can do and should be doing to recognize, support, and celebrate the differences that people bring to our community. It has always had a special place in my heart, and I know the work you have done over the past 50 years, and clearly for the 30 years that I've been at UVM, has made a significant difference for our institution and for me personally. I am a better teacher, a better clinician, a better researcher, and a better administrator and community citizen because of the model that CDCI provide. Thank you. And I got through that without crying. I was worried. Congratulations.
This is Jesse. Aren't they amazing? And thank you to Matthew, too. A round of applause for Matthew, who couldn't join us. I'm so grateful for your support of our center and your deep connections with it, so thank you. So I promised brief remarks. Rachel's even gone now. Oh, Rachel's in the back. And I know we're over time. I do need to share a couple of logistics for the reception, because it's hard to have a party without logistics when I plan it. So a few things. So just in a little bit, we're going to start a photo slideshow. So several people here and folks who couldn't join us shared lovely photos. And we're going to do our best to get them on the screen. So that might take a little while, but we're going to be showing them there. For those of you that are online, I think that's going to be the main thing that we're going to be streaming now going forward. I don't know why I'm looking at the screen. That's not where you're looking. Hi, people online. So that's something that if you want to stay with us, that's what you'll be participating in. I think originally we said that the streaming portion would end at 5:30. But if you'd like to stay for the slideshow, you're welcome. We'll also find other ways of sharing that for folks who couldn't join us live. Let's see. Oh, and we also have a slideshow created by Inclusive Arts Vermont, showcasing the artists' work for the Cycles Art Exhibition, which is currently on display in the third floor of Mann Hall, where CDCI is located now. And let's see. So for those, I guess as a final farewell to those of us that are joining us online, you can explore both the art exhibit and the event website if you weren't able to join the symposium earlier today. And we'll continue to share those links and make that available and accessible. So during the reception, UVM Video is going to be recording a little bit of the fun, I think. Yes, thank you. And also, if you take any photos that you'd love to share later, I would love to receive those. And so without further ado, I invite you to have some food, find a friend, new or old, talk about what makes us great and why the center is so wonderful, share your favorite memories, or make some new ones. Cash bar is out in the lobby. Restrooms are around the corner. Thank you for coming, and let's party.
The University of Vermont Center on Disability and Community Inclusion. We connect. Find out more at go.uvm.edu/CDCI.